Recorded, yes.
Yes, I'm recording it. All right. So for today, we still have module 3.3. That's the conclusion. Remember that the conclusion has lesson 1, 2, 3, and then another video we're going to see 4, 5, and then 7, 8, 9, something like that. So we're going to be maybe 3, 4 days more with this conclusion because this is really important. So today we're going to be covering, I think, lesson 1, 2, and 3. We've done this before. Actually, when we started the study group, we start watching this, but now we're doing it in order because it's part of the course. So, my friends, tell me, are you ready? Are you ready to rumble?
Yes.
Ready to rumble.
Yes.
All right. So we don't have a Freddy here, but if not, I will say ready, Freddy. Where is it? Okay, my friends. So we put the volume up. Do you have pen and paper? Do you usually write stuff, my friends, or not?
I just listened to the
Yes.
recording back. I heard it back recorded. It's easier for me.
So you use you normally when we're taking this, do you write things on your notebook?
I usually just record it and play back
Okay.
the recording afterwards. It's easier for me.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you said. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, doesn't matter. Many. I found myself that I learn better by observing and listening. And just to have some notes, I write random things. But if I see and I perform and I listen, I can do better. All
Yeah,
right.
right.
So here we go, my friends.
The fundamental truth. The fundamental truth. There is only the eternal now. And this supports that you're living in, that your world's an illusion. It's a simulation. Right?
Welcome,
So remember
Rose.
this and pay attention. The most fundamental truth is that there is only the present, only ever the present moment right now. And just to put this in context, have you ever looked like at a clock on your phone or on the wall or your watch or anywhere, and has it ever said a different time than the present moment, than right now? Never. Unless it's unplugged or the battery dies or something. But it'll never, a clock will never reflect a different time than right now. And that's because that's the only moment that you have power to create and manifest is right now. And the better that you become at becoming now, living right now, like right now, not, anywhere else with your inner dialogues or anything else, the more effectively and efficiently you can manifest and create things into your world, and the more simply you can put yourself in flow state and become magnetic, simply by not having anything, just being present right now, being fully present, and then manipulating your feelings and your thoughts and your states of consciousness right now. You can create a new version of yourself, reinvent yourself right now, because that's the only moment that's real. And you can create any feeling that you want when you can understand this and master this ability. Something that I really worked on when I was in prison is just being present in meditation and creating feelings, moods, changing inner dialogues right now, like becoming someone different, reinventing yourself now and becoming whoever you want. And living as if you are that person right now, like reinventing yourself. And you really put yourself in a very magnetic frequency when you can be present and you can feel as if everything is working out for you perfectly. And you love everything, like you're grateful. You're just like in this the highest frequency of just loving everything about your life, like right now, and not thinking about what you're going to get next, you know, but experiencing that now. And that's something I'm kind of going through now and catching myself, you know, with wanting, you know, thinking about new things I could bring into the channel, new manifestations and da-da-da. But the things I already have are amazing. You know, how far, I mean, I'm still going to take it because it's part of the brand. It's part of the coaching. And I want to teach people that they can create anything they want as well by using these methods, but I still have to use it. Even the coach needs some coaching sometimes. All right, so there's a question to ask yourself right here. It happened to me again. It's 9:37 by me in Wisconsin, and it wouldn't let me open it until 9:30 my time. Oh, whoops. Oh, well, you're here now, and it's recorded. So ask yourself this question. Have you ever experienced or done, thought, or felt anything outside of the now? Seriously, ask yourself that question. Do you think you ever will think outside of the now? Think, feel anything outside of the now, or ever felt anything outside of the now? All right, so it is possible for anything to happen or be out. Is there anything that is possible or that can happen to you outside of the now? Can anything happen to you besides outside of right now? Nothing. Everything is right now. There is nothing. The past doesn't matter. Stop worrying. Let all that stuff go. Fear of the future, fear of what may happen, what may not happen, all those different things of the past generally is what hinders people because they think the past is real. It's not real. It was only real when it was present. And that was it. But it's over now. That's done. It's over. You're now present, and now you have the opportunities to create anything you want now. But your feeling states are created based on everything that you feel is real. So if you still feel that all those things that happened to you in the past are real, even though they're not, it's not real. That determines your state of consciousness now. And when you can release all of that and understand that the only moment that's real is now, that you can create now, you can let all that stuff go. And understanding this can free up, instead of, this can actually help just as much as revision can help. Simply by understanding this knowledge and becoming very present and understanding the now, present moment awareness. All right. This can really make huge changes in your current reality and your future, even though the future isn't real either. It's only now. So stop waiting. Stop waiting. All right. So the answer is no. Okay. There is nothing outside of the now. The answer to that is all no. The present moment, here we go. The present moment is all we ever experience. Even when we think about the past or the future, we do that right now. Even when you think about the past, things that have happened to you, you think about what may happen in the future. All those things that all those times that you think about the past or think about the future, you're doing it right now. Everything is now. Everything you do is now. Everything that's created is from now. All right. More questions. Oh, no, it's not a question. All right, statement. What you think of as the past is a memory trace. Excuse me. Excuse me. Let me start over. What you think of as the past is a memory trace stored in the mind of a former now. When you remember the past, you reactivate a memory trace, and you do so right now. You reactivate this, okay? When you think about something in the past that you didn't like or was a traumatic event or something that happened to you, you reactivate that memory trace into the now. And then it becomes alive in you now. That's the only reason that it can become alive now is your reactivation of that, thinking that that was real, that happened to you. It's only real when it was present, when you were presently experiencing that. But it's not real anymore. And you only reactivate those things and recreate those things. A better word for that would be you recreate those things when you go back When you remember the past, you recreate those things. So what part of your past are you remembering? Because you can recreate good things from the past depending on your perceptions and your feeling states of the things that happened to you. That changes the present moment and your feeling states and your states of consciousness right now. So the future is an imagined now. It's not now. It's a projection of the mind that the imagination is creating. Your future. The future is an imagined now. It's a projection of the mind. Nothing is contained outside of your own mind. No material objects, a Lamborghini Urus, a Raptor R, a Mercedes G-Wagon, none of that stuff is contained outside of your mind. It's not real. It's contained within your own mind. And there's other parts of you that are creating these things from your imagination. So, when the future becomes now, it comes as the now. When you think about the future, you do it now. So what does that tell you about the law of assumption? Because this is Eckhart Tolle. He was a master at present moment awareness. Very successful. Very successful. When the future comes, it comes as the now. The future isn't really real until it becomes the now, okay? So when you think about the future, you think of the future, you think from the future, you do it right now. And that's how you shock the positron, the positive running electron. When you master present moment awareness and can create and think from an event in the future and make it now, because that's the only moment that's real. Because when you're thinking of something, it's not real. It's in the future sometime, and you're thinking it's at a distance from you. It's not real. Present moment awareness, mastering this ability, is mastering manifestation. When you think about the future, you do it now. All right, so therefore the past and future have no intrinsic reality or substance of their own. When you're thinking of them, all right, when you're thinking of them, they have no intrinsic reality or substance of their own. Their reality is borrowed from the only thing that exists, the eternal now. And this is actually something where it's important to understand when you're doing visualizations. You'll notice there's certain times in your life, certain places you've gone, like your childhood house that you grew up in. You were very present in certain places that you can remember very simply. And when you can remember something more vividly, it's because you were more present and you made it more real when you were there. When it was now. It's not now anymore, so it's not real. But those moments, when you were more present, you'll remember more. And the more present you become every day in the now, right here and now, the longer your life is. You live forever, and that's what the Bible talks about. The Bible talks about that. About how if you believe in God, you have eternal life because you have found present moment awareness and your life is continued and it never stops because you're in the eternal now. So this is why becoming intensely present and anchored in the now is so vitally important. All negativity arises from denial of the now. All negativity arises from the denial of the now. From resistance to what is. When we live absolutely in the now, we have gone beyond the ego into our essential nature as universal consciousness. Okay, so pay attention to this, because the more present you become and the more that you free yourself from the past and the future of these events, not from them, but of them, you become more connected with God, the universal consciousness, because everything is connected. There's no separation between you or anything or anyone else within your own mind. And as you release the ego in the present moment, you can become connected with your highest self. And that's where true manifestation comes. But a lot of times when you become that present and grateful, you don't desire anything because you have everything. And that's really the secret to it all. But that's what brings all this stuff to you. Sorry about that. But that's what brings all this stuff to you, is when you can go beyond the ego and become very present and be in flow state. You become so magnetic that all this stuff comes to you, but you don't even really need it. You don't really even want it. You know, that's when you're really connected, is when you just have all this stuff just flowing to you. And the reason for that is because you're already in the state of having everything. There's nothing else. Like, you are completely complete. And in that feeling state, you're drawing all this stuff to you. Like, everything is, you're just totally magnetic in that state. That's why present moment awareness is so important to truly grasp and practice on a daily basis. Lesson number 2. Never mind, I just heard you read that post. Sweet, cool. All right, so false self versus true self. Lesson number 2. The more you are identified with your mind, the more you suffer. Because you are not your brain. Remember that. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are something deeper within that. You are all. You are I am. And sometimes the thoughts can be convoluted, or they can be polluted with the past and the future, and you're so entangled with the past and future, you never live in the now. And that's when the more you are identified with your mind, the more you suffer, is because the mind will take you on a roller coaster ride throughout your entire life where you're never present. You'll never be present if you let the mind control you completely. You are not your mind. You are in control of your mind. You have the control over your mind to train it. Otherwise, it's going to take you like on a roller coaster ride your entire life, based on everything that you consent to being true and everything that's happened to you, that, you know, on all these different beliefs that you have based on, you know, TV shows, movies, what your teachers told you, your parents, you know, all these different things. The false self is the ego. Let me start over. The false self is the ego created identity that we tend to strongly identify with. It is based on our thoughts, emotions, desires, achievements, failures, possessions, relationships, beliefs, and physical appearance. Remember that. The false self is the ego created identity. The false self. That's not you. It's the ego created identity that we tend to so strongly identify with. It is based on your thoughts, emotions, desires, achievements, failures, possessions, relationships, beliefs, and physical appearance. Our mind made sense of self. Our mind made self of sense of self. However, none of these are what we truly are. You are I am. Remember that. The term ego means different things to different people, but when I use it here, it means a false self created by unconscious identification with the mind. The ego. The term ego means different things to different people, but when I use it here, Eckhart Tolle, it means a false self created by unconscious identification with the mind. All right, so as Eckhart Tolle explains here, your sense of self, of who you are, is ultimately derived not from your thinking mind, but from a deeper place within. Your sense of self, of who you are, is ultimately derived from your thinking mind, from a deeper place within, from being itself. From being itself. I am. All right? So your very sense of presence of I am does not come from thought. You are not your thoughts. You are not your brain. You come from a much deeper place of being, just being. It emanates from that deeper place of being, and it is the most fundamental aspect of your existence. Our true self is found in the internal or eternal, timeless realm of the present moment. When we are completely in the now, consciousness without thought, we lose our ego-created sense of identity and connect more deeply with our intrinsic being. So, getting to know thyself in meditation, releasing the ego, becoming more present, because where do all your beliefs and everything you consent to being true of your world come from? From your ego, your false self. Your false self is creating all of these things that happen to you, all the things you don't want to happen to you, are all created from what you consent to being true based on what your mind is doing, your false self with your ego. And when you can release that, one true self is found in the eternal, timeless realm of the present moment. When we are completely in the now, consciousness without thought, we lose our ego-created sense of identity. We eliminate everything that we consent to being true of our world, and we now can create a new version of ourselves, reinvent ourselves, and connect more deeply with our intrinsic being in the present moment. It isn't until you have lost your sense of psychological self and time that true happiness, fulfillment, and peace can come into your life. And honestly, there were times when I was in prison where I was so happy because of these things, because I did all this. And when I found peace with meditation and releasing the ego and becoming present in the moment, this is when all this stuff came. Finally, like my whole life searching, trying to find happiness, fulfillment, and peace. And I was trying to find it in all the wrong places my entire life until I located it outside of my ego, outside of the past, outside of the future. It was all in the present moment that I found happiness, fulfillment, and peace. And I go back to this every day. In the enlightened state, your sense of self is no longer based on your personal history, but on the timeless being. It is derived from the essence of who you are, beyond name, beyond your name, and form, beyond your form, your human form, and your name, John Smith, Jane Smith. That's not who you are. Whatever your name is, that's not you. You are much deeper than that. You are all being. You are I am. You're not your ego. Your ego wants to tell you, yeah, you're John Smith or Jane Smith. So you have to do this, you have to do that. This is everything that you have to do in order to have this. You are not your mind. You are not who you think you are. You are not your brain. All right? So when we lose identification with our thoughts, so losing identification is the key. Losing identification with our thoughts, emotions, and stories, past events, we simultaneously lose our false self. So when you, and this is like a big part of knowing that you're living in a simulation. And this is kind of like what it does, you know, in essence. When you know that you're living in a simulation, you know that nothing is real. This is essentially what happened. It's derived from the essence of who you are beyond your name and form. All right. So when you lose identification with your thoughts, emotions, and stories, you simultaneously lose your false self of your world being real. And that you don't have to worry, you don't have to fear, you don't have to have anxiety, you don't have to hold all these traumatic events in the present from the past and keep recreating them. It doesn't matter. Let it go. And as you do that, you lose your false self. Your false self is convincing you that you should hold these, these negative feelings towards people and yourself, harboring these bad feelings towards yourself and other people that have wronged you, and you're continuing to reactivate those things when you stay connected to your false self, your ego. When you're not connected to your ego, there's nothing there anymore. There's no traumatic events. There's nothing that happened to you in the past. The things that are limiting you now, none of those things are even real. None of them are real. And you release all that stuff, and you really get deeply connected with the present moment and who you want to become, and the things that you want to do in life, to grow in life. What do you want to do? And that should really be something that you think about in the present moment. Becoming that and realizing that you can reinvent yourself now and think of who you want to be, and then become that now while you're present. And when you master that ability to become more present, you wake up. Being present, you're waking up within the dream, okay? Because all of this is just a dream, and you're waking up inside of it by becoming more present. You're no longer a sleepwalker. Now you can actively do whatever you want in your world because you're present and you're awake, and you're not just being controlled through the law of thought transmission and your false self, your ego. Because that's what connects you to everything. That's what connects you. That's how you lose a lot of the manifestation power, is by connecting yourself with your ego and your false self. Because your highest self is everything, is all consciousness, is in control of everything through your imagination. So disconnecting all of that is where true power comes. And it's not really even power. You shouldn't even view it as power. It's just your true self. What remains is a sense, okay, so when we lose identification with our thoughts, emotions, and stories, we simultaneously lose our false self. What remains is a sense of I am that needs nothing from the outside to feel complete. It is who we were before we formed a mind-made identity. Who were you before you formed a mind-made identity? This is the joy of being, our deepest reality. Lonnie M., member for 7 months. Thank you. Wow, congratulations. Amazing. Thank you. All right, so what remains is a sense of I am that needs nothing from the outside. And I've hit on this before with just manifestation and understanding this. The language here is a little bit different, but it still means the same, and it could assist you in figuring this stuff out. What remains is a sense of I am, your true self, that needs nothing from the outside to feel complete. Everything's within your own mind. So why would you need anything outside of you to feel complete? It is who we were before we formed a mind-made identity. This is the joy of being, our deepest reality. Right here. Exodus 3:14. I am that I am. I am that I am. Lesson number 3. The egoic mind, understanding unconscious behavior. The egoic mind is part of your mind that creates a false sense of self based on thoughts, beliefs, ideas, and perceptions from the past. It operates unconsciously by constantly projecting into an imagined future in order to find salvation, fulfillment, or a sense of completion. And this is so important because the sense of completion comes in the present moment. And people get attached to having something or having to have some material possession in order to feel complete or to have a relationship or a significant other, or in order for them to feel complete. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have, relationships, or you shouldn't have material things, but you should find completion within yourself before you do any of that. Because none of that stuff's going to make you feel complete. You must find completion before you enter that world. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing and chasing and chasing a mirage, an illusion of completeness that'll never complete you. It will never complete you. You must find peace, harmony, and completion in the present moment, now, without anything. Because because really everything is contained within you. There's nothing outside of you. It's just an illusion. It's an illusion that the simulation and the game has prepared for you. It's just orchestrated this simulation to where the appearance of material things are going to make you complete, or other things outside of you are going to make you complete, but they're never going to do that. It'll never happen. So find it within yourself first before you go after anything. When you're in that state, though, it's a totally different life. And that's essentially what I'm teaching here with the world as a simulation. Is that your focus, present moment awareness, knowing you're living in a simulation, you feel complete when you have all this stuff. Even if you don't actively visualize, or you're not actively doing all this stuff, you have shifted your state of consciousness into a state of completion, of wholeness, of fulfillment in the present moment. And you've reinvented yourself doing that without having to do anything else. You're gonna be attracting everything that mirrors your new self. Completion, abundance, gratitude, love, happiness. Your world has to mirror back to you the essence of your being. And when you find these things, and that's why I say the leaf exercise, the present moment awareness course, the reverse course, knowing you're living in a simulation and ingraining this into yourself with meditation, you'll find completion and wholeness within that itself. And it changes everything. You'll be like a beacon of abundance, because you're abundant already. Your abundance. Yeah, no drugs will give you completion. That's just a part of the illusion of the simulation, that when you train yourself to be chasing different things for temporary satisfaction and completion, that's never there. There's nothing outside of you that's going to make you feel complete. I don't care if it's a Lamborghini Urus, or it's a Ferrari, or drugs, or alcohol, or honey buns, or Netflix. All that stuff is just training you to search for something outside of yourself. None of that stuff's ever going to make you happy. And when I went to prison, I realized that, because I found happiness there with nothing, like literally nothing, like nothing at all. Like you get like one pair of beat up shoes every year, if you're lucky. And you literally have nothing in prison. And I found happiness there. I found peace. I found contentment. I found completion. And I found happiness there with nothing. And when I got out of prison, I was complete. And that's how I manifested everything that come to me. Everything that I've created. Everything that I've manifested into my world is through my primary feeling state, my fundamental feeling of now being complete, whole, and having just that sense of fulfillment all the time inside myself, not needing anything outside of me, which I trained myself to do. And that's what I want everyone to experience. You don't have to go to prison to find that. You don't have to go. You can do it by following the recipe that I've created here on the community. All right, so as Eckhart Tolle, to the ego, the present moment hardly exists. The ego, your false self, the present moment doesn't exist. Because your ego is not real. All right, so it doesn't live in the present moment. Only the past and the future are considered important to the ego. And that's what hinders you. That's what controls you. That's what keeps you from being complete and keeps you incomplete. All right? Is your egoic mind, your false self, is what keeps you in the past, in the future, being like, oh my gosh, my parents did this to me. This person said this to me, or I did this and I really regret this. That's the ego. That's the ego holding on to those moods, holding on to those states of consciousness and reactivating those and recreating that stuff into your future. The total reversal of the truth accounts for the fact that in the ego mode, the mind is so dysfunctional. It's constantly in the past or in the future, being incomplete. Your false self is incomplete. It's not complete. It needs something to keep it moving. And whatever it can latch onto in the past and in the future, that's what it does. It's always concerned with keeping the past alive, because without it, you have no identity. So the ego's trained for you to hold on to some identity of your current body, but you're not. That's not who you are. You are all being. You are I am. I am that I am. You are your highest self is you. But the only thing that keeps you disconnected from your highest self is right here. Your false self, your ego, is what keeps you alive within your own body, as thinking that you are limited. The ego keeps you limited from the power of manifestation of being, fulfilled and happy and complete. It's always concerned with keeping the past alive. And why is that? Because without it, you don't have an identity. And that's what the ego is. Identifying with you in your current small body, instead of releasing that and getting into flow state, connecting with your highest self. This is one or the other. The egoic mind seeks to uphold and strengthen this false sense of self, this phantom me, by consciously thinking and keeping your attention trapped in the past or the future. Some key patterns of the egoic mind uses to operate unconsciously. The egoic mind seeks to uphold and strengthen this false sense of self, this phantom me, by continuously thinking and keeping your attention trapped in the past or the future. Remember that. Your ego, your false self, continuously is keeping your attention trapped in the past or the future. And where do you make conscious impressions on new states of consciousness? In the present moment, not the future, not the past, because then you're thinking of those events. When you're thinking from something, it's happening to you now. It's in the present moment, no ego involved, no false self involved. And that's why training your attention and present moment awareness, waking up to these ideas and catching yourself, catching the egoic mind from going in the past and the future, be like, no. We're staying right here in the present moment. I am complete now in the present moment. Right now. Held up right now in the present moment. Judgment and comparison. The ego judges, compares, and rates everything to give itself a sense of identity and self-worth. By making you better than or not as good as, it sustains this phantom self. Resistance. Okay, let me read that again. That's so important. Judgment and comparison. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of judgment and comparison? Your false self. The things that are hindering you from becoming complete and creating a new version of yourself. Judgment and comparison are limiting you. The ego judges, compares, and rates, because most people that I talk to with brand building and things like that, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but one of the first things that I ask them is, why won't you post every day? And I said, really tell me. you have to be completely honest. And they say, because I don't like the way that I look, because they're judging themselves. They have to prepare themselves in a certain way every single time, and it takes hours, and they don't have the right lighting or the right cameras and that's why the fear from the ego, judging themselves, comparing themselves to other things. And that's you're thinking not thinking spiritually, you're thinking physically. Spiritually connects you with the source, your highest self. But the ego judges, compares, hinders you from doing the things that you want to do, from being successful, from being abundant. The ego does all of this stuff, and it slows you down. The fear, the judgmental, you're judging yourself. You're comparing yourself. You'd be like, oh, these people look so much better than me. They're doing this better. There's no way that I could do. That's the ego. And that's why they don't turn the camera on. That's why they don't start their own brand. That's why they don't do what they want to do, is because of the ego. Keeps all the fear and the comparisons and the judgments all locked up inside of them. They stay in this little dark cave their entire lives without breaking free from that and be like, you want to know what? I'm not going to judge. I love myself. I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm going to turn the camera, and I'm going to say what I want to say, and I want to help people. And that's what matters, is when you turn that away from yourself. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about the people that you're helping. And the ego wants to keep you constrained in this little dark cave, comparing and judging and being fearful, when you could be out helping people, assisting people. It's not about you. And the ego wants it to be about you. And it's not, because your highest self is everything. It's I am, connected to all things. The ego judges, compares, and rates everything to give itself a sense of identity and self-worth, but it's just destroying you. It keeps you limited. It keeps you in a dark cave inside of a room where you never break free from that and do the things that you truly want to do, being your highest self. All right, so by making you better than or not as good, it sustains this phantom self. And that's what keeps you limited. Resistance. The ego resists and runs away from the present moment. The ego does not like the present moment. Why? Because it can't identify with anything in the present moment. It has to be taking it on a roller coaster ride, comparing it with other things. It cannot live spiritually. The ego is not spiritual. The ego is based on the belief that the simulation is real. And it tries to keep that realness within you and keep you limited within the simulation itself. But it's an illusion. It's not real. And that's what keeps you limited. And the ego is what tries to keep all those reminders back. And that's what controls your thoughts, controls your mind. It keeps bringing you back. It is real. It is real. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, that happened. This happened. It is real. It's not an illusion. It's not a simulation. It is real. And because the ego cannot survive if it's not real. And when you lose the ego, that's when you connect to your highest self. Because the ego is the only thing that's constraining you or restricting you from becoming complete right now. Because what happens when you're complete and whole right now? The ego is not alive anymore. If you're complete, the ego has to find problems, has to create problems for you in order to feel alive. It has to find them in the past or find them in the future or predict bad things to happen to you and put you in those states of consciousness to destroy you. Because it doesn't care if it destroys you, as long as it's still the ego, as long as it can remain identified. Because once it loses identity, that's when you become spiritual. That's when you connect to your highest self. So remember that understanding this stuff is vital, and it's another way to go about it. But it's all true. It's all really, the fundamental stuff that we have to understand going forward. All right, so resistance. The ego resists and runs away from the present moment where the truth of who you are exists. It uses distractions, denials, conflicts, and problems to draw your attention out of the now. Wow. And remember, you can't find this anywhere. This was all written specifically just the way that it is, and it's not in a book or anything. All right, so the ego resists and runs away from the present moment where the truth of who you are exists. It uses distractions, denials, conflicts, and problems to draw your attention out of the now. Seeking salvation in the future. The ego. The ego makes you look to the future for completion or salvation or fulfillment or happiness. Keep searching for it. It wants you to keep searching, thinking of your completion, not from it. Remember, Neville Goddard, from, thinking from the events as if they're happening to you now in the present moment is when you find completion in the present moment, fulfillment in the present moment, and that's what changes your future. That's what draws the things to you because you're feeling it now. In the present moment, the ego is no longer there. The ego keeps you thinking of these events. All right? Ego makes you look to the future for salvation, not completion in the present. So one day when this or that happens, this is what the ego's, makes you think, or it's thinking for you. One day when this or that happens, or I get this, or I get that, or I have this great relationship, or I have this Lamborghini, whatever, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be happy then. Okay, so this perpetuates discontent with the present and your inner state of being. And it puts you in a state where you're not complete ever. Because there's these things in the simulation. These material possessions are not going to make you happy. They're not going to make you complete when you get them. There's going to be something else. It's just a continuous thing of an illusion. It's like, you ever watch those old cartoons or, when they're in the desert, like Saudi Arabia, and they're looking far away and they're in the desert and they're thirsty and they're trying to find water. They're dying of thirst. And then they look way in the distance and it's just a mirage though. They see water and palm trees and they start running towards it. And the closer they get, the more it moves away from them. It keeps moving and moving and moving and they never can get. And then when they finally get there, there's nothing there. Like, where's the water? I saw the water. It was here. It's not there. There's nothing contained outside of yourself. And that proves that you're living in a simulation too. All right. So by being aware of these unconscious patterns, you can start to step back and recognize when the egoic mind is controlling your thinking and behavior. And this is, I had a really big awakening when I realized this stuff. Like when I read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. I think I read it back in 2014 or 15. I think it was 14 or 15. Might have been 14. 2014. It's like my first year in prison. And I read that, and this is what he started talking about. Recognizing when the egoic mind is controlling your thinking and behavior and realizing your thoughts aren't you. That they're not really you. Your thoughts really aren't you. Okay? This silent observer brings presence to dissolve its unconscious hold. So become the silent observer. You're the observer of your thoughts. So you're actually in control of the ego. But when you identify with it and think that the ego is actually you and you identify with that, then it has total control over you. I had my entire life, I was identified with my ego. I thought that was me. I thought my brain was me. And I was connected to it. But once I read that book, The Power of Now, I realized that I could be the silent observer. I could go outside of myself and observe my thoughts and observe the ego and be like, wait a minute, I don't have to, this isn't me. The ego's not really me. I can actually change this. And these thoughts that I'm thinking about the past and all these different things, I don't have to think about those things. And then that was like a really huge awakening for me. I remember that when that finally just kicked in. I can be the observer of my thoughts and change them as I like from the outside looking in, because that's what we are. We're really outside looking in. We're not the ego. All right. By being aware of these unconscious patterns, you can, I already read that. I'm going to read it again. You can start to step back and recognize when the egoic mind is controlling your thinking and behavior This silent observer brings presence to dissolve its, and sometimes, and I wanted to read that again because just realizing this, just realizing that you are the observer of the ego and of your thoughts, and you're not your thoughts and you're not your ego. This alone brings presence to dissolve the egoic hold that it has over you. Just by literally feeling that and knowing that, it actually dissolves the entire identity. The hold that the ego has over you, it starts to dissolve that simply by knowing this stuff. Because now you stepped out. As soon as you knew it, you stepped out. You stepped out of the ego. And you now observe it from the outside instead of identifying with it. And then it loses its control over you. There is a place for mind, knowledge, and concept of time. It is in the practical realm of day-to-day living. However, when it takes over all aspects of your life, including your relationships with the human beings and with nature, it becomes a monstrous parasite that, if unchecked, may well up killing all life on the planet and finally itself by killing its host. And the ego does not care whether you live or die. It does not care. Its only one purpose is to be identified as something separate from other things. That's it. That's what the main purpose of the ego is. But you can use the ego for your benefit when you can control it, because strategically you can use it, use your own mind identified with the ego, and it can assist you with success as long as you don't become identified with it and are controlled by it. Once you go outside of it, you can use the ego. The ego can be very important to use under your control, but you cannot let it control you. You cannot identify with the ego being you. Your body is not you. All right? The body is actually part of the subconscious mind with the simulation. Anything that you can feel or experience within the simulation is part of the subconscious. I'm going to read that again because it's super important. There is a place for mind and mind knowledge and concept of time. It is in the practical realm of day-to-day living. However, when the ego takes over all aspects of your life, including your relationship. So basically he's saying when you learn to not identify with your ego, you can use it. It's important to be able to have an ego to a certain extent, to use it to your advantage, but you don't let it take over all aspects of your life and identify with it, including your relationships with other human beings and with nature, because I do feel it can be behooving or beneficial to be somewhat competitive. That can be fun to be competitive and different things. And so the ego assists you with those things, being competitive, growing, getting better and better and better, and growing and growing and growing. So you can use the ego for those types of things, but you don't let it take total control over you, because it doesn't care whether you live or die. The ego will destroy you if you let it. All right? And just like what he says here, including relationships with human beings and nature, it becomes a monstrous parasite that, if unchecked, may well end up killing all life on the planet and finally itself by killing its host or killing you. It doesn't care. It doesn't understand all that stuff. All right, so we're going to save lesson 4 for next week. Next Monday. But let's do some, I'll answer a couple questions.
All right, my friends. Well, this was really enlightening. A really good reminder for what I'm getting in my notes and everything. basically, in this lesson 1, 2, and 3, he's talking about our old self-concept and how our old self-concept wants to creep back in. And obviously, when we focus ourselves and we start reacting to these bad things going on in our 3D, then we get hooked on those feelings, bad feelings, past emotions, when we don't realize that those past emotions are things that, well, they happen, but we don't have to be feeling them every single time. We can create whatever we want. We can change them. Yeah, I don't know. My dad isn't around, but well, yeah, but my mom was, and many good things happen because of that. Because you grow, you learn, and maybe, for example, in my case, if my dad was around, maybe I never joined this community, and I never learned these things that I want to learn, and I never had the opportunity to meet all of you because things changed. So I think we have to start looking to our story like something that had to happen, and now we can have control of it. But all right, my friends, what do you guys think? Who wants to share something? I see that Rose, Nimarda, and Sean jumped during the live. Somebody wants to share something?
Hi, yeah, I'll share something. So it's amazing how you said like how the video is talking about how your old self-concept wants to creep back in. And like I've noticed with myself, so I've been on this community for a while, but I keep on leaving and I'll come back and I'll leave and I'll come back. And like even now that I've started obviously doing the leaf exercise and the reverse course and trying to get back in, and I can be going on a high for like a couple of days, but then I would notice that a little thing might happen. So for example, when I'm trying to do sats or visualizing at night, I tend to dream a lot, just either stuff clearing my mind. And then I would go online to see the meaning of the dreams, what they mean. But as I'm either chatting to AI or looking on Google to find out what it is, I will even notice that the old self starts creeping back in what I'm asking. So instead of me, I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, instead of me moving in a state where everything is already done, I will start creeping back and unconsciously, without even knowing, asking questions like it's not already done. And then I would notice the old self of fear, doubt, worry would start creeping back in. I don't know if this making sense or you understand what I'm trying to say. And
Yes.
it's something that, I'm not even thinking about it, but it just happens so natural and easy. So it is a challenge, to work on not allowing the old concept or your old self to come back in. That's how I feel.
Thank you. Thank you. Nimarda.
From what he's saying and from what I do, the ego likes to use fear, any threats that you think are real or imagined, avoiding uncertainty, and they become like a program of emotional patterns. So when you start moving towards a more like a wonderful, happy life, say, it's knowing that the fear is just unknown. Yeah. And the mind, if you need to observe it so that you're not questioning and falling back, because it's natural for people who lack the skills and tools, but they think they've all have fallen back into the self-concept, and people think that's natural. It's not natural. It's not even normal. You are the controller. You are the controller, not
Can
the
you explain
ego.
that?
What do you want to explain?
Because then a thought came to my mind. Yeah, but it sounds really deep, and I want to learn a little bit more. When you
Yeah,
said
I
that it's
understand.
not
Yeah.
normal,
More about,
when you were saying that it's not normal,
it's not
from the-
normal. It's not normal to listen to the ego. It's not normal to listen to your thoughts.
Okay.
It's not normal to, it's not natural either. You need to discern with alignment, with calmness. Is this threat real or imagined? Why am I always avoiding uncertainty? Because these emotional patterns are really avoiding, you're getting benefits from these. So you all talk about the old self-concept, but it's like that transition to what is it that you really want. And if you don't know, well, hallelujah, work out what is it you really want and focus on it with all your heart and do what it takes, that whatever this old concept that you're so in love with, that is a blame game, the self-concept, yeah? Well, you're not, you know, there's uncertainty here and there's emotional limited patterns which you think are normal, and you need to start observing and controlling that. You control that by learning certain skill sets. And you have the tool, and you learn tools with that. Unfortunately, the world hasn't taught you that because they don't want you to discern. They don't want you to speak from your heart. So many people are disconnected from the heart. It's only when you reconnect, if you're not focusing on the trauma of what's happened in the past. I mean, by all means, if something is really stuck within your aura, within your tissues, your nervous system is not happy. So you need to find a tool and skill to manage that. And you need to make sure you work fast at that so that you're instantaneously, okay, I've dealt with that. And observe yourself. Have I dealt with that trauma? Have I, you know, why am I always reacting? What's going on with this self-concept? You don't need to spend days or hours on this. If you are, you have not learned any skills or tools. You can read and read and read and read. But if you don't know it, you can't control it. Why can't you control it is the question I leave with you. Because that's your identity. Oh, my self-concept struggles, chaos, proving themselves. And it's just too hard for a peaceful and abundant life. Do you hear the difference? Because of the drama and urgency. You can keep listening to this. You can keep coming back. But you're stuck in, what I've noticed is that you can get stuck in these loops. Are you not done with that? Seriously, are you not done with these loops? And you mentioned, James, about how deep what I'm talking about. This has always been me. And I'm not like putting myself superior or anything to anybody, but it's really identifying who and what you are and what you truly are, and not having a go at yourself. This emotional addiction to the drama, the urgency, the distraction, because you're feeding the ego. The ego is just fear, okay? Fear of what you're used to. Oh, I can't do the leaf exercise. I'm just useless. Stop it. Just stop it. It's a great exercise for patience, for visualization, for trust, for patience, for power to connect to the true source, the kingdom within. If you can't do it, you're not connected. You need to find out why you're not connecting. because your attention is getting fragmented. Your energy is getting into reacting. And then your decisions just come from fear, and you're just reinforcing those patterns. So recognize when the fear is what is driving you. Do not obey it. Choose differently in small baby steps if need be. Tell fear, just stay right there, okay? I'm going to put you in the bucket full of mud right now. And don't even think of moving. Do not allow those thoughts to come up. Your thoughts are not yours. Because it's pretty predictable, the fear. It's a mental limited pattern. It's not healthy. It's not your truth or your destiny. Discern what is fate to destiny. Fate is what you react to and you think, oh, wow, yeah, that was meant to be fate. Destiny is when you are in control. Back to what you actually want to build. Clear direction. Do not avoid responsibility. It's not a punishment. And make it consistent action with your energy. The ego just stops people from manifesting that happy life. Examine your fear patterns, but do not spend a lot of time on them. You do not need to overanalyze them, because then you go into paralysis analysis. Focus on what you want. Observe and find that skill and tool, or many of them, as I have done, and prove it to yourself that it works. Only then you can really start manifesting instead of getting distracted. Connect with yourself, align with peace, with love in your heart. This is what I want. Wake up happy. This is what I want. I'm going to have a wonderful day. And this is what I want. Is that helping? Did that help, James?
Yeah, it was really, really good, and also the explanation. And yeah, sometimes it's like we're having this self-construct of saying, okay, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, I can't this, poor me, oh my God, this and that, like the big thing mentality.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely. I haven't thought about it. What are we getting out of this old self-concept? Why we don't want to get rid of it? Why we let the self-concept creep back in? Why? Because
you're just naturally protecting yourself, but you have a fear of actually really living what you want.
Yeah, because
it's simple.
We don't know what's going on.
And plus, a lot of the time, you need to move. A lot of people I've noticed that do not manifest, that are stuck physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, financially, whatever, that you're not breathing. Everyone I know, every client I have to educate them how to breathe. And they all like, but I must be breathing. I'm like, no, you're not. And the number one thing, none of you those who can't manifest, you do not exhale. You do not know how to breathe. I see it and hear it in the way people communicate, in the way they move, in all their actions.
I gave a speech about economics.
Yeah, even in economics, but it's knowing also.
I know a lot about economics.
But it's also knowing the art.
That's
of
what my
attachment.
PhD is in. That doesn't help me. So
yeah, but economics is made up. That's not real. The whole matrix is not real. But this is a big video.
It's real, Nimata.
Yeah, but it's also it's real, but it's not real.
Yes, sure.
So you need to work it out. Well, how am I? You can feel
get into discussion. who is
Yeah.
a professor of economics.
Well, but
I
that's
did that,
changing now because people are realizing it's all fake. It's just fake. All of it. It's made up fake to put you into fear.
No, that you say it's fake, that's true. But
Yeah,
economics
everything.
says no.
Everything here
You
is
don't
fake.
find fear. You don't
Fake
find fear in
food, fake
economics.
money, fake, yeah. Fake drugs, everything is
That's
fake. Fake
true.
food,
That's true. That's true. That's all
including
true.
fake eyelashes. Women put on fake eyelashes on their eyelashes. Yeah, let's not go there. That's another story.
No. Yes.
But you know, it's really
No.
it's really building, connecting with that true source within yourself and breathing and feeling comfortable with it, because you get your answers from within. But many are so disconnected, they find it difficult and they cannot breathe because they're reacting with everything going on in the world. And and it's just fear. The ego loves fear.
Yeah,
You
but
just-
but
you just
but, but you need a structure.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a
You need
structure
skills. You
and,
need
and,
skills and tools.
David explains you get up in the morning, you do this, etc., etc. So you need a structure. The whole world needs a structure. If you say if it is real or not, that is.
Well,
is
yes, but it's
is
not.
the
It's not about
breakfast real? Is it real to make jumping jacks and so on? I mean, you have to get a point what is real and what not. We're in a simulation which we can change.
Yeah, you have to control it. You have to control you.
Reality
have to control
the
your
other, but
thoughts.
you say nothing is real, then take your life over. Basta. No?
Well, that's going down the route. If it's, I mean, that's when people feel sorry for themselves and they've given up. Okay.
No, but to say that nothing is true, nothing is real, it is going too far.
Yes. Well, to some people, yes. But the reality is when you start controlling your life and manifesting, and when you really connect to the source within you, and if you're open to it, you can go beyond the matrix and see what's really going on and create a life as well. So you've got 1 foot in the matrix and 1 foot out, but that's very deep. And there's no point me discussing that.
Nice. I love it. Thank you.
And it's
Yeah.
it's actually having the courage within, because remember you are whole and complete, but you know that you're whole and complete, but really feel it. And if you don't feel it, then exercise and move and do the right ones, yeah? And breathe into it and enjoy it and smile inside your heart, smile inside your eyes. Look at yourself in the mirror. When did you last do that?
Look into the mirror. I better don't do that.
I did it today.
Good luck with that one, Krista.
Oh, please, no.
You
like
can
this.
joke about it, but you know what? This is your life. Yeah.
Yes.
And there are people who need help and they need clarity. So we have to be careful when we joke and when we don't. Yeah.
Yes.
Because words are powerful. Energy is powerful. And it's owning that. This is all about owning who you are. And this old self-concept, you need to literally delete this old self-concept. If you are serious about this, delete it. Stop even saying it. As soon as it comes up, change the frigging words.
Why are we here? To make more money.
That's fine. I'm
We
with
need
you on that
money
one.
in this world, and we are in this world. So we need,
Exactly. So you work out,
Even
you
though
look at
money's
all the
not
systems
real.
and you work it out and you make connections. You don't sit there feeling sorry for yourself.
Oh, I'm not able to do much more for the time being, for 2 years now.
Krista, I know in the beginning of the call when you said something about your muscles are weak.
No, they are gone. They're
Yeah,
gone.
a thought just came to me actually when you were saying that. Maybe you should practice like yoga, and like the yoga I do is not just breathing, it's Ashtanga yoga where
No,
you
forget it.
Hmm?
Forget it. I'm happy that I can walk a little bit, even though I'm not walking straight.
Yeah, but you can start little by little. If you go to a good, and I don't know where you're based. Like, are you based in the States? I'm based in London, but a good practice where it's more spiritual, not about money or not about fancy places, just somewhere where you can start really slow,
No,
really where they wouldn't push you.
I'm doing acupuncture.
Okay.
I hope that I can afford it this month. I don't know if I can afford it next month. I will see.
What about exercise? Any other exercises you're doing to help your muscles and your joints?
Only in my mind.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Only
a
in my
start.
mind.
So there's a nice little program for you to maybe, you could do anything. You could do Qigong. It's very natural. It's, there's loads of YouTube programs. It's entirely up to you, Krista. Instead of saying to yourself, I can't and I don't want
No,
to.
I do it in my mind. I do work out with weights in my mind, and I do things in my mind.
You need to move, Krista. My hand on my heart, you need to move.
But as David
Physically.
said in one of his videos, once you start impressing your subconscious mind, because you're visualizing it,
Yeah.
you would naturally be moved to do these exercises.
No,
So
no.
if you continue doing it in your mind, it will happen just natural. As Neville says, it will happen
I
in the
hope so.
naturalist way that you would say it would have happened anyway. That's how. So, for example, I remember David used an example. If you want to have a six-pack or an athletic body, and you're visualizing it, you would naturally stop eating all those foods that you once enjoyed that were healthy, that were unhealthy for you. You would naturally start moving your body. That you would know that you've impressed your mind. It would just come naturally. So if you're continue,
But you have to be iffy on a certain vibrational level.
Yeah, but that's the thing is,
Yeah.
It all starts in the mind. And
Yes,
I
it
don't know if you were in the class we did with James, was it 2 days ago, where the basics we were talking about is a controlled attention. And I guess that's why David started the course with the leaf exercise, because what society has is an uncontrolled imagination.
Yes.
So I used to meditate, for years, and I thought I had control of my attention. But when I started the leaf exercise, I literally could not do 5 leaves, but I've been meditating for years, that I literally had to cut social media, TV, music, everything, because, that was so. Forget about me, but what I'm just trying to say is it's the control of the attention is the basic, as we were talking on, was it on Monday or Tuesday? And I guess, Krista, if you start there, controlling your attention and then doing all those practices in your mind, it would just happen in a natural way. You'd be surprised one day.
I
you'd be
have
like,
hoped so, but it doesn't.
sorry,
I don't stop doing things in my mind.
Mm.
But it starts that my brain is functioning maybe 80%, maybe. And it's very difficult for me to meditate. But still, I'm not giving up. I'm doing it again and again and again, So
Are you doing the leaf exercise?
I did the leaf exercise a few times, and I did it well. But I gave it up because I always was back. But some decades ago, in a moment of my life, which I want to get all this out of my life. What I was talking with James at the beginning, I want to start my life now and not get back to the past, even though it's part of the now. But I don't want to remember these things. I want to go on with my life from now.
Mm. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But it feels like to me that you're also still in the past. And
Yes,
if you're in the past,
yes,
you
yeah.
need to find something that will help you to harmonize the past instead of being trapped in the past with whatever hurt you. And so that you can actually then focus on whatever it is you want. Because I heard a lot of I don't.
Yeah.
So find whatever you can to harmonize whatever happened in the past, because it seems to me, it feels like to me, you spend 80% of your brain focusing on the past.
No, I want to focus on the now
Okay.
and want to get. I don't want to think of the past anymore.
Okay. Well, then stop it.
So every day an email comes in. Today it was 5. And this way it's very difficult.
Why is it difficult? That we all get things coming in every day, but it's observing
Yeah,
how
but
you.
not as
It's
bad-
observing how
Not
you
as
react.
bad stuff as I do.
No, we could.
Not as bad stuff.
That's
as I do.
unfair to say, because at the end of the day, everyone has been through trauma, and to put it on a league scale is saying you're not going to let it go. And I know, Krista, you can let it go. I know that you can get an email or a message or whatever and calmly not react, because that's taking up your whole day.
Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful debate, wonderful sharing, wonderful helping. That's something that I like from this community, because sometimes it's funny, because in every call there's something that hits you, some of us more than other calls, and you never know where this call is going to end. But I really think with everything we are sharing today, we are learning much. We're learning a lot. And in my case, there are many things that I'm considering, and I'm thinking about it. They made me think regarding the video and regarding the feedback and the debate that we are having right now. So thank you, guys. Anybody else wants to share, ask, or say something? I saw Sean, you turn on your camera. I don't know if you wanted to share something. No. Rose, Terence, you guys want to share something?
Yeah, James, I was listening to Krista and Lamara's conversation. Very interesting conversation. I got a bit of a different take on it. I can follow what Lamara's saying, and I agree with that. But Krista, you say about you don't want to face the past. A lot of people don't want to face the past. They don't want to confront the past or look at the present, because they think like if they hide away from it, it will go away. But the thing is, I think the things that are in the past, what I'd learned and what's been in my past, I don't know if Lamara would agree with this. I'd like your views on it. That the things in the past, if they're bad, it's because you haven't confronted them. And I find that a lot of people, if there's something bad, a person is bad or a situation which is bad, they don't want to look at it or confront it. And I have found, or I have been taught, that if you look at something, it will go away. It'll cease to exist. If you don't confront it, it will get more solid, And if you confront it, it will go away and cease to exist. Any thoughts on that, anyone? Thanks, Sean.
No, I totally agree with you, Terence. Whatever's happened in the past, confrontation is the biggest number one thing that humans have issues with. You know, even just dealing on a face-to-face level or whatever, text message and stuff, and then you get the miscommunication and misrepresentations and so forth. And when we're dealing with the past, what people need to learn is to observe what happened. When you're truly ready to let go, you observe it with love and compassion.
Yeah,
and then
that's
you
one
use
thing.
and then you can
Of
observe
course,
it,
when I'm
and
on
then
the
it can
street, I
heal.
will observe everything with compassion. Oh, how wonderful. I go to court. I wait that this judge, the younger son of my brother, is going to court against me. He wrote to me today, couldn't we do this another way? Couldn't you give me as a present part of your inheritance? And I have to explain to him that this is not possible. It is not possible.
Yeah,
So I
that's
do
okay then.
confront the things. I stand there. I have to get through with this. But if I'm still alive after all, that I don't know.
Instead of I understand that the situation is difficult, but I would highly recommend, just like if you were saying, to move and meditate and stay in your heart so that you're speaking.
Yes, but
with-
when I get out, I have to face the real world while this simulation, as bad as it is. And if I don't,
But then it's also the reaction to that when it's not as bad as you really think it is. Yeah.
it is as bad as I think it really is.
These are your patterns. These are your egoic patterns coming in. And it's like Terence was saying, confronting them with love and compassion and using the skills or tools that harmonizes so it's not draining the energy out of you, maintaining the peace within you so that you can still focus on what you really want. So you
When
can
you're
focus
hungry,
on, so you can
you
focus
can
on,
hardly focus on anything.
sorry?
When you are hungry and you can't go buy food, you can hardly focus on anything.
But you have skills. But you have skills.
You speak so very, very intelligently. Oh, you're the one who knows everything, and in your heart and everything. But when you are in a
I know
situation,
that you
there
are
are
as
other
well.
things you have to face, and I do have to face it. And period.
No one is saying that you're not. No one is saying that you're not. We've all been in these situations.
Krista, we realised everyone had to face everything. I went to hospital when I lost a job that I loved doing. I'd done a job for years and I loved it and I put my back into it. I really enjoyed it. And me and a friend, we were working together and we had the top marks and the top everything in the factory. And the manager come round to us and he said, you two guys, you have to slow down. Because he said, if time and motion, that's going back a while in the 70s. He said, if time and motion come round and measure you two, he said, nobody will be able to keep up with you. We were going like the clappers. I loved it. Come up to Christmas, they said, lads, they were going to train us up on a new machine. They had a brand new machine. It was like a fairground machine with lights on it and everything. He said, you two are the best in the factory. He said, we're going to train you up on a new machine. I said, yeah, all right. He said, you'll get more money. And just before Christmas, before they were going to do this training, they said, lads, we got some bad news. We have to shut down the factory and close down the factory. And that was pre-Christmas. After Christmas, about 6 months later, I went downhill and ended up in hospital with depression. I came out of that. I seen a meditation advertised in the paper. I done the meditation. I went up to London. I done 5 years training. of all the things that I had to confront and go through, and going through it with a counsellor. You said about confronting life. That's why you have a counsellor that will take you through it, because it is hard to do on your own. So you sit down with a counsellor, and the counsellor guides you and focuses you and gets you to confront the things that you cannot confront on your own. That's why it's there, because you cannot confront it on your own. So you sit down with a counsellor, one-to-one, and go over everything. As I explained to Sean, me and Sean got together on the Friday, on the Wednesday call, and used that call, and we were there for an hour discussing all this. And I tried to explain it to her about how all this works. And you sit down with someone that will take you through it, because it is hard to confront on your own. And I spent 5 years just south of London, in Sussex, at Namara, or know where that is, down on the East Coast, between London and Brighton. I spent 5 years there. I loved it. It was the best 5 years of my life, and I learned a lot. I learned how my life worked, how other people understood other people, because I didn't have the confidence to talk to other people. I didn't have the confidence to count money. So I done a catalogue round for a couple of years, and me and my partner went round doing a catalogue round. So I learned to give change. I was confident counting money. I was confident talking to people. I was confident talking to women. I learned a lot about people, about customers, about sales, how to sell stuff, and how people's minds worked in a sales situation. So we've all been there to a greater or lesser extent. And as Namara said to you, you do it in small steps. You cannot do everything overnight, but you do it bit by bit. And the more you do it, the better you get.
Well, I do exercises, I do meditate, I do imagine, and at the other hand, I have to face things. When you are sued, you have to show up at the court. No, you cannot say, "Oh, I'm meditating."
Of course.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
As James said when he was doing his David said when he was doing his lives, he said, I got to go, because it's part of his situation that the court said he had to go to this treatment centre, so he got to reschedule his date to go there. We've all been there. We've all got to do it to a greater or lesser extent. And I believe that nobody is sent any more than they can handle, any more than they can comfortably handle.
Yeah, I just think, Krista, just take one day at a time, and just take one day at a time. I don't know where you're based, but if you can find a local therapist, or I don't know if it comes with a health service that can help you.
I don't have the money for it now. I do what David says, what we are here repeating, and the rest is I have a lawyer. He does most of the work. But
Do you
now,
not have a local community, like a local center that provide free
I'm in
therapy?
Italy. I don't speak Italian. This is my community. And I don't have the time, I don't have the money. I have to concentrate on the things that have to be done. And there's quite a bit. So, but important is to do all the exercises, to do meditation, to do imagination. And I think I'm doing this better and better. And aside, I have to face things at a time where today I got in a letter, several letters from my lawyer, the letter from the lawyer of one brother, and then a letter from the younger brother who is a judge. And I wrote to my lawyer just one sentence. Please write to the other lawyer. I'm waiting for I don't know the word in English, that I get the papers to be sued, and period, so that it gets on and finished.
I just want to say one more thing before I'm going to go. There's a story in one of Neville's books, The Law and the Promise, where this lady, she was a mature lady in her 50s or 60s, and she was renting a place and she didn't have a job and she didn't have a car and she was single. And she spoke to Neville and she said when she was imagining before sleep so many things, she gets so tired that she couldn't imagine anything. And then Neville told her to just use one phrase that covers
Yes.
everything. And that phrase was,
I have
even
said, excuse me that I stop you, but I have said this so many times.
but
and
that's the
then I got-
point. Even
and
if
in
you
the middle
said
of
it,
I got the stroke in the middle of saying, "Isn't it wonderful?"
you got a stroke.
I got a stroke. Yes.
And what does the stroke tell you, Krista?
What does he tell me? I stick with my imaginations because with difference to this lady, I know what I want. I know exactly what I want. And I can imagine it so beautifully. So
Nice. I get all of you guys, and I appreciate the feedback and
let's go.
the help and the words to Krista. I can't imagine how to handle myself with a stroke. I can't
Mhm.
imagine myself. I think the best part right here for all of us is to get what we feel is best for us, because sometimes I've heard David talk about techniques, and then I heard other people, Neville, said about these techniques and that, but sometimes they don't work for me that well, because sometimes I need, I need that Roman general telling me how to do things. And I don't know. What I want to say is that sometimes we need to find ourselves. I think, Krista, you're doing well, taking one step closer. I'm pretty sure you're really overwhelmed right now with all the things going on. And you want to share something, Ify?
No. Sorry.
Oh, okay. um, and I can tell it can be overwhelmed. But the good part is that you're doing something. That's the most important thing. You're doing something. What Nimarta said, what Ify said, what Terence said, obviously those are tools, really useful tools. If it comes a time where you can get a hold of maybe somebody in Rome where they can help you with, maybe the government, they have maybe somebody that speaks English, maybe that can happen. I don't know how things work in Italy, definitely, but I'm sure there's always people that they're willing to help in those communities, and especially with free programs. But well, let's all do the best we can, or the best thing we feel is good for us, my friends. All right, guys. So I got to bounce. I think most of you had to do the same. I appreciate this call. This was really enlightening for every one of us. Somebody wants to share something before we leave?
I just wanted to say it was a good discussion. I enjoyed the discussion, and I hope, as you said, James, not everything works for everyone, but I hope that the people who tried to help Krista or advise Krista that everything what they said can help her to some degree. I'm sure she can find something in there that can help her and see her through the situation she's in at the moment.
Yes.
I want to say thank you to James for this live.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. My
Thank you
friends,
so much.
yeah, it was a good one. Appreciate the practice and what we're doing. And I think I didn't put Monday's live, so I'm gonna do it right now, and also I'm gonna upload this one. So I'll let you know if you wanna revise something, my friend. So we'll I guess we'll see each other on tomorrow with David, and and also on Friday we're having the study group back. Take care, guys.
Okay, cheers, James.
Thank
Bye,
you so
mate.
much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers,
James.
James.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.